Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the triads in the major scale. Just as a quick recap, a major triad is defined as the root third and fifth of the major scale. A minor triad is defined as the root third and fifth of the minor scale. Or you will also see it defined as root flatted third and fifth in comparison to a major triad. And then a diminished triad is a root flatted third and flatted fifth, okay? In my previous video, this right behind me, I talked about this in detail and also in the previous blog on it. So you can check all that stuff out if you really need to read through this stuff, okay? So what I'm going to give you here today, again, is all 7 triads in the major scale, okay? This is going to give you your basic chords that go with the major scale. So for those of you wondering, what chords actually go with my major and minor scale, this is going to answer that question for you and get you on that path of understanding this stuff, right? So let's flip the lights on. Okay, so we'll just do it in G major. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you the thing before like really breaking it down and getting into the nuts and bolts. I'm just going to give it to you, okay? So in the major scale, we have 7 notes. We'll use our G major scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, okay? Those are the 7 notes of the G major scale. Now the formula for the triads in scale, or the formula for the chords in scale, saying the same thing there, is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Okay, one more time. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. You want to memorize this formula, honestly. The way you get your 7 triads, or your 7 basic chords, in scale is you match up the 7 notes of the major scale with that formula. So if we're in G, again, it was G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Match that up with that formula and you have G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and F sharp diminished. Okay, those would be the 7 triads or 7 chords. So like this: G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and F sharp diminished. Right back to G. So this is actually something I have my students do, is just get used to playing through the chords like that. G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, F sharp diminished, and just back to G. And it's actually good for your ear to hear what those sound like in a row. So if we do this in any other key, it's the exact same method. Just find the 7 notes in that key and match it up with your chord formula of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Okay? I'll put a link in the comments where you can go see a full write-up of this stuff for yourself and with diagrams and everything, okay? So I encourage you to use that as a learning tool for yourself. So let's say let's do A major. So if I've got A major, there's its 7 notes: A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. Okay, so again, I'm going to take those 7 notes and match them up with major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And so then we have A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished, okay? So that would give you the 7 chords that go with the A major scale, okay? So you can say, however you do it, A major, obviously you can use open chords, but A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, and then we have our G sharp diminished, right? Which you could actually do up here. So in the previous video, I gave you a couple of examples of how you can use some usable diminished chords. So I'm not going to really dive into that on this one, but I hope that you're understanding this idea of just what these triads are in scale. Like just the formula. Just get the formula and then you can plug it in to be honest, for me to break this down in this video would be like an extra probably 15-20 minutes of the video. And it's kind of hard to think through anyway without like really taking your time. So if you want to get into the nuts and bolts of this, which I encourage you to, so that you can think your way through your music theory, which is something that I really encourage my students to do, because when you can think it through, you really have it and you can expand on it. To do that, I recommend you just click on the link down there below and go ahead and jump into my write-up of it, and it really breaks it down for you. You've got diagrams and all that kind of thing. And in fact, I've got a couple of extra posts there. If you look on my site and that link, they give you exercises for understanding your triads as well, okay? So feel free to dive into that. Again, I really encourage you to think through this stuff. And I know this is some like left brain stuff, and maybe it just kind of is like hair pulling at first. But once you start to get familiar with it, read it through a few times, talk about it, whatever it is, or hit me up for lessons, in fact, and we can really go into detail, you'll start to get it. Usually students need to kind of have this discussion a couple of times, and then it just really starts to click, okay? It's kind of like learning a new language or something. At first, it's just like, what's happening here? It's a little foreign, you know, whatever. And then you start to adjust, and like, okay, now I'm seeing it, okay? So take your time with this. You can think your way through all of music theory. In fact, that's how I learned it. I figured it out for myself, and then later verified, with, the teachings that are commonly out there. And so all of Western music theory is based on the major scale, and your understanding of the major scale and its triads and how that goes together is completely crucial. It's so foundational. You really want to understand this stuff if you're going to understand your music theory. So, and again, if you have that as your foundation, you can start to think your way through all of music theory. In fact, any other kind of chord that would go with the scale, you can start to think through, because it's the next thought. It's an extension of what I just talked about here. And really all you would need to do that is understand this stuff and then have the definition of what makes a particular kind of chord. Like, for example, a major seventh chord is a major triad with a major seventh. If you understand that, you can understand how they fit in with your scale, okay? So think this stuff through, but start to use it as well. Start to put together some chord progressions in G major. Right? And so you can get a feel for that and build your ear for what it sounds like to play these chords in key, all right? So have some fun, rock out.